All right, this isn't the first scandal involving charismatic preachers. In fact, we've also heard stories of people eating grass or rats and performing other bizarre acts. Well, let's get some response now. Gilan is with us, a mentalist who specializes in the power of persuasion. Welcome and thank you very much for joining us tonight. What do you believe this pastor is doing and others that have gone before?
Well, a lot of these charismatic pastors who say that they have these godly powers and that they're performing these miracles are usually just relying on bits of psychology and sometimes just downright trickery and illusion. And of course, because they have people who want to believe so badly, they obviously will attribute that to being miracles. That's
the interesting bit. Is it want to believe badly, or are they simply gullible and open to persuasion?
Well, I think that I wouldn't just use the word gullible, although that might be, part of it. But I would also say that there's a lot of things like superstition that's involved, and obviously things, that will make them believe, because it's part of their actual belief system. And combine that with being a little bit desperate, looking for hope, and here's someone who seems to perform it, a little bit of confirmation bias kicks in.
So how easy is it to persuade someone before we get to your experiment on me?
Well, the thing is that
my career on eNCA, yes.
as humans, we have certain triggers, there's certain psychology, and if you learn how to flip those switches, then pretty much anyone can be influenced or persuaded. It's actually a science, not just an art.
So providing it doesn't involve a can of doom, knock us out. What are you going to do?
All right, so I told you that I wanted to do a little bit of an influence experiment with you, and I want to influence you to think of something specific. Now, since we've been speaking, what you may not be aware of is that I've been trying to influence you subconsciously in certain ways. And in fact, what I want you to do right now, in your mind, I want you to visualize in really vivid imagery right now, a picture in your mind, just in a very simple form. Have you got a picture in your mind now?
I do indeed.
I want you to take this board over here. In fact, I've got a nice thick marker here for you, so you can draw thick lines. Now, there's a specific picture that I've wanted you to draw. I'm going to ask you to go ahead and draw something. Don't let me see what it is. I'm going to draw something as well here. And when we're done, if our influence has worked, then hopefully we would have drawn the same thing. Now, do you feel like I influence you at all in any kind of way? You don't feel that I influence you in the slightest, and yet there's something that you decided to draw, and I've drawn something down here as well, and we'll turn it over on 3. Are you ready? I get a little bit nervous because hopefully I'm right, but here we go. 1, 2, 3, go ahead and turn it around. Is that a cat?
Oh, come on. Iman?
That's why I don't want to do it.
And you didn't feel like you were being influenced at all, and yet here we are, and you thought of exactly the same thing. But hold on, there's something else.
Hang on, Gil, before we move on, how much of what you have done, and I absolutely will attest to the bona fides of this, we did not discuss that we were going to draw what patently is a cat.
Yes, of course, we've prearranged nothing.
We prearranged nothing.
Can I interject? Because I think your cat
Welcome to the conversation.
Your cat has boobs.
Those are paws. Those are paws.
I'm just joking.
Right,
but if we spray it with some doom, we can rub it out. It does miracles.
Are you able to tell us what you did without giving away your trade secrets here?
So, of course, as a mentalist, I specialize in things like influence and persuasion, all that kind of stuff. And it's a huge topic, and there's a whole spectrum of skills. So I used certain skills, which unfortunately I'm not allowed to divulge all of them, and I also used certain skills that are just good old plain psychology. But there is something else, just one more thing. You've got a word in mind right now.
I do indeed.
And in fact, that word starts with a W, and you've got that in your mind right now. But there's no way that I could know what this is. I'm going to write a word down. In fact, let me just get another piece of paper over here.
Do you want to hold my hand here?
Now, can I just to confirm, you've got this word in your mind.
I do.
You're thinking of it. You haven't. Obviously, you wouldn't be able to say it to anyone. Write it down. I'm going to be writing it down. I think now what's weird about this is that I'm actually going to write it on 2 lines over here because I feel like this is quite a. Excuse my handwriting, by the way.
Does it need to be beeped out?
I have, it doesn't have to be beeped out. I've written, in fact, just so you know that I can't change my mind, tell us for the first time, I could be completely wrong about this, I'm just going off a hunch, what is the word that you're thinking of?
Right now,
yes.
I am thinking of the word watermelon.
Watermelon.
Show us.
It's interesting because I said a certain word to you earlier, didn't
Yes.
I? I said to you in conversation, I said, I'm thinking of seeds.
Yes.
Now, there are seeds in a watermelon, right? And that's exactly what I wrote down over here, which is watermelon.
This is from the devil. I'm joking.
Sorry,
What my mother would say.
security, can we get rid of this man? So what have you done? Explain to us, because we need to move on, and both Iman and I are slightly freaked out here.
But I will tell you that I'm fascinated by this because, as you say, there's a level of it that is hinged on science and behavioral science, I imagine, particularly, and particular ways in which the power of suggestion can influence a human being's mind. And that, to me, seems to be... Are these pastors learning those particular techniques?
Yes. So exactly. So what I've demonstrated here, if I wanted to, I could put it in the context of having, prophetic powers. And if you wanted to believe that I could heal you, then a simple demonstration like this, and I have no supernatural powers, and yet I'm able to do these things.
But I think it's important. Is this grounded in psychology, or is this simply a clever party trick?
So there's the psychology of it. It's a whole spectrum of techniques, from anything from bits of suggestion, linguistics. There's power of hypnosis, although obviously I was not hypnotizing you. But these are all very broad techniques, and if you bring them all together, and that's what I specialize in as a mentalist, is to bring them all together. In other words, to create the illusion of a sixth sense.
Yeah. May I just add something? That if you were in the right context and you claimed that this was a miracle, there would be people with that particular, you use the term confirmation bias, who would say, absolutely, that is. So that's where the manipulation comes in, and where it becomes, something that becomes mystified and shrouded in mystery. But
And open to a degree of abuse, one imagines.
Of course. If I wanted to, I could definitely use this to exploit people's beliefs and to, maybe get some donations in the meantime. But it's really very powerful stuff. And, if you combine this with techniques that they use in terms of general psychology, placebo effects and physiologically, there's so much that can go into having someone feel like they've been healed, for them to believe that someone has performed these miracles. It's very
I'm so
powerful.
glad it can be explained, and that for me is what's so useful in what you've done. Thank you so much.
Take your drawings with you.
I have a word in my head. What am I thinking of right now? I know.
Exploring the powers of the suggestion. Thank you very much for talking
Thank
to
you.
us tonight.